And breathe. We've done it. We've got a win for the first time in seems like forever. Leicester have won 2-1 against Wolves. I'm over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. Hopefully, I'll have a few more people joining as well in this stream. Wow. What do you make of that? All over the place. I mean, there was opportunities missed. There was times where we probably should have had it. The game was against us. Then it was for us. We got 3 points. And you're looking at the likes of Everton, I think, Forest have lost in this game. Everton have drew. We've got them 3 points, and that puts us slightly safe. It shows you what you can do. There's a lot of people that have been writing us off in the media, people that aren't watching us game in, game out. I'm not talking about the fans if you're watching the channel over the long term. I'm talking about the individuals that have been writing us off that said, we're down for relegation. You're not good enough. Your team's not strong enough. You've appointed D. Smith. He's not going to do anything. He's a championship manager. So all of you that were saying that, there you go. There you go. We outplayed Wolves, who, again, are a good team. They play some great football. And a lot of the things that I've criticised Leicester City for, we didn't do in this game. We went behind. Heads didn't drop. We're going to keep going. There's some criticisms of the previous manager. Again, as Tyler's put in there, get your comments in. I want to get as many as possible of you in because I'm just so happy and at the moment. I was, mate, when that Castagna goal went in, I shed a tear. I was like, because it was coming, it was building, and we couldn't get. I'm with you, Tyler. It was building and building and building and building, and it didn't quite hit, didn't quite work. Because Castagna will come on. Oh my God, Castagna will come on to a moment. Charles Soyuncu will come on to a moment. We're out of the bottom three at this moment in time. It's tight. It's on goal difference, but I don't care. Genuinely, I'm not bothered because it's been so long since we had a win. 2 months without a win. And we've been praying and praying and holding on. And just to show you the table again, because this is the most important thing, let's be honest. We are 28 points. Goal difference, we're way ahead. So it puts us just outside the relegation zone. We've got the next 2 games. We've got Everton and we've got Leeds. Everton have got a player sent off. They've drew 0-0 with Crystal Palace, and Leeds have lost against Fulham. This is in our hands. And I know that's the rubbish saying that Brendan Rodgers has been saying for a long time. But we've finally done it. Because going into this game, I looked at the formation and went, probably like a lot of you, went, what the hell is this? We played, I'll try and find the table, but we were playing that starting formation, and I just went, what on earth? Who's playing where? What's happening? How does it make any sense? We've got Jeff in. Jeff, oh mate, I'm talking. I'm just rambling at the moment. How are you doing?
I'm doing much better now. You know, definitely a lot of mixed emotions, mixed feelings from the first half and second half.
Yeah, definitely, man. But overall, and I'm just talking about the starting lineup. When you saw that team, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, my initial thoughts were we are going all out with the strikers. There's really no creativity in the midfield other than Tielemans. And, you know, I don't know how long these players are going to last the full 90 minutes, but we won't have anyone else to replace them. The fact that they're all our strikers playing from the start. So I think that was the first time we ever saw something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. We've never seen a formation quite like this before. The fact that we've got, again, Ives in the back. Okay, we'll go through some of these players individually as well later on. But for me, again, with the pawn player, we have to move on to that people were talking about. Soyuncu, people are mentioning Soyuncu. I mean, we know he's been left out in the cold. This game, what did you think of his performance?
I thought that he clearly is a player that's important. He has pace, he has strength, he can hold the ball, he has vision. You know, we saw a couple of times where he lobbed the ball across the pitch. But yeah, it's something that it's a player that we should have been playing for, you know, who knows, you know, how much earlier in the season. But, you know, with Brendan Rodgers not liking him, that also played a part. But yeah, he's a superb player.
Not just liking the fact that he was dropped out completely. He's come into the team, he's replaced Suter, and then fast move on to the right-hand side. For me, in that back four, it's like he never left the team. He looked like he's been there for, you know how Johnny Evans was when Johnny Evans used to play alongside Soyuncu, and Soyuncu was the one that flailing a little bit. He looked so calm, so composed. I think people are saying, sign him up, give him another extension. It may be too late, but this is the kind of performance we need to stay in the league.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So overall, who impressed you in today's game? Because there's so many good performances, in my opinion.
I think the way it was played out with the formation, all of us, majority of us probably were thinking like, what kind of formation is this? The player selection. I think it worked at the start, and then of course with the goal, the mistake by Tielemans, that kind of hurt us a bit and kind of lost our focus. But we needed that opportunity with Kelechi and Nacho finding Vardy and that PK to lift things up again. And yeah, credit to Dean Smith for going that way. I said it wasn't the prettiest from the start, but it worked. It got 3 points, and now we're out of the relegation zone.
I'd argue it was kind of pretty, because considering it was work rate, there was persistence, there was determination, there was resilience, and again, just to bring Gary into the chat, Gary, mate. How does that feel? And just going into the fact that we've got some of the basics we've been asking for: resilience, pressing, playing as a team. These things that I'm just so hyped because I've not seen them in forever.
Yeah, well, obviously, still the heart rate's still very, very high. But yeah, you're right. It was, I think, the first, 20, 25 minutes or so. Obviously, it was, it's the first 5 minutes was, good. You could see there's some intent, and then I think there was a bit of nerve setting. And then obviously after the Wolves goal, you could almost tell that it was rushed and it was panicky. They needed to settle a bit, and then I think after the even up until the penalty and we actually scored, there was still a bit of uncertainty. But then after that, it was actually the fight that was being shown, and and we're talking players diving into tackles, but not aimlessly. It was like aggressive defending, pressing the ball down. Well, there was the game got scrappy, but actually that's probably the first time we've really had a scrappy game from our doing rather than another team trying to disrupt it. So, I think overall the feeling of the fact that it looks like they're going to be up for the fight is what we've wanted to see this whole time. And, forget the Man City game. That was, I don't like to look at that as Dean Smith's first game, but, this is the first time he's properly had time to work with the players. Interesting formation, but do you know what? It just shows if you've got the fight, the belief, and the hunger that that can get you through.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think Glenn's putting, I can now see your other comment as well, so thanks so much. But as Glenn's saying, it's not the fight in the dog, it's not the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog. And that, again, we've been wanting to see that, Jeff, for so long that we've been saying that it's just there's fine margins that we need to get right. Today, from minute one, we were at it, and we played to the last minute of the game. So many times we've seen 80 minutes us just down tools, drop our heads. That resilience, that fight, and considering the players that, again, the likes of Maddison we didn't have, the likes of Barnes we didn't have, this makes me so confident that we're going to stay up, because I was confident before. Performances like this against a good Wolves team, let's be honest, they weren't quite at it today, but they were a very good team, just winning 2-0. I mean, I'm just happy. I'm just so happy that we've got points, and it's just feeling like it's coming together now.
Yeah. Like you said, with Wolves, they're not an easy side to play. It's never been the prettiest when we played Wolves, other than the previous match we had this season. But it's always been a tough match over the KP, especially. And yeah, without Mattis, without Tielemans, certainly, without Harvey Barnes, at first we think, what now? As far as we have Tielemans, how can we kind of manage and kind of create plays, without them? But clearly we see, just the focus, the concentration, the communication, and just the right plays, the right movements, they all worked out.
Yeah, and hopefully so, because there's amazing stuff to build on from here. And I think one thing as well, considering, Gary, that we went 1-0 down against the run of play, it was a stupid giveaway by Tielemans. But the fact is, after that goal, because it came against the run of play, and the crowd did get a little bit, here we go again. But they were still behind the team. They were still singing the names. They were still getting behind the team. And we just needed to be a little bit more quicker, a little bit more concise. And we got the looks we deserved in terms of the penalty, because we were, again, when there was a period of about 25 to 30 minutes where I thought we were going down and the crowd took a little bit turned, but we stayed in it. And the fact that we got that penalty kind of get belief in the players again. That look, we are a good team. We can play decent football. We just need to go and implement ourselves.
Yeah, I think you're right. It almost just took that kick of we need confidence from somewhere. And yes, right, it was a penalty. It's not always the guarantee way to do it, but the fact was they took that belief then, and then they went on from there and they improved. I mean, you have to look like this is if you look at the team, you've already mentioned the players out. Daka playing in the left wing, who I felt sorry for because he's clearly not ever played in that role before. Defensively, very naive. We started the game with 3 strikers on the pitch and a winger. 2 midfielders that want to both play on the ball, and then we finished the game with 5 central midfielders across the midfield. When you look at what were we left to right, it was Dewsbury Hall, Mendy, Ndidi, Samar, and Pratt. So the fact is that it shows that if they've got the belief and the desire, and they just want, they muck in and do the jobs that they're asked to do, that we have the quality in the squad. And I think that's where it's been clear. The biggest things for me today were the things that I can't now forgive Rodgers for is Daniel Everson in goal. Has shown over these last few games that switch should have been made a long, long time ago. But the fact that Kagler Soyuncu has come in 2 games, looked one of our most solid defenders all season, shows that the agenda there is what's caused these messes. If he had played like that all season, we wouldn't have shipped half the goals we've shipped. Yes, there were still confidence issues. Obviously, their goal comes from an individual mistake yet again. But when you're playing with nerves and lack of confidence and things like that, that is what happens. And once they grew into the game, I thought Samare was absolutely phenomenal today. Yeah. He couldn't have done much more than maybe score. He was unlucky not to get the assist after his brilliant bit of play and ball through for, I think it was Iheanacho, wasn't it? Who couldn't quite get the shot off in the end. So Samare played brilliantly. Soyuncu played brilliantly. Everson had a good solid game, didn't have much to do, but made a great save at the end. So these are all players that through the season have probably had confidence knocked, haven't been picked, haven't been played, don't know whether they're coming or going. And yet they've come in and they've not looked out of place, and they've been 3 of the best players on that pitch today. And even Dewsbury Hall coming off the bench. Dewsbury Hall I know he's come under quite a bit of criticism recently, but he came off the bench and he did help us change the game. He gave us a bit more of a solid base in the midfield. He was dynamic. He did the running. Yes, okay, had a couple of half chances maybe we could have done better with, but it was a good performance. And it shows that with the belief, the performances, the quality, it should all come together. And it's going to make Leeds a really interesting match on Tuesday night. Yeah,
it really is. Again, because we've got the fact that Leeds are coming up so quickly and we need to keep this momentum going, it means that another game is coming around the corner. And Jeff, I mean, you mentioned Samore. I mean, we have to mention him again. Beginning of the game, I thought he was okay. And the fact is Dean Smith, left him on. So I was thinking potentially you get Mendy on, makes that midfield a little bit better. After about 60 minutes, we just saw a different machine. We've seen Samore before pick up different balls and switch them around. The terms of his vision, his strength, he just looked like a completely reborn player. And apparently, again, just coming back to what Gary was saying, this was a player that was going to be cast out with the squad. Him and Soyuncu were 2 players, and them 2 players, well, we'll get on to some other players, but them 2 players were one of the strongest players on the pitch today. Samore today, just fantastic.
Yeah. Though we know that he has that ability in him. He has those extra bursts of pace when he has the ball. I won't think too much on it. I think there has been times where he has played like that, but it hasn't been consistent. So we'll just go from here, start again, see how he does. But yeah, no, there is an ability there that's very, very effective. As far as, he's a defensive midfielder, but can also have that burst of pace, can also just use those centimeters of space to quickly get out of anyone that's coming to take the ball away from him. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, he it's all on, I think, with confidence as well. Hopefully he takes this match and plays the same and, same again, game after game moving forward.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think one thing as well, Gary, the fact that I know you talk about Samore, Ndidi came on and Samore's played the whole game. Ndidi came on, and we know he's not looked level. We know how good Ndidi is. Ndidi looked like the junior out of the two of them in that game, because it was almost like he was relying on Samori to get him out of trouble. The nice 1-2 pass. I think there was one point, I forgot to mention it, about 74 minutes something, where he goes, right, I'm going to take it and go. And he's just sprinting down that side. Again, he was clever with it. He wasn't trying to take on the play, and then he played it back. If we can develop this guy, which we know, again, the fact that Chelsea, Liverpool were all in for this guy and we got him. If we can keep this up, and he's obviously coming into next season, I think he'll have a phenomenal season. But we have to, again, play him in the next match, because at the 3 CDMs, he was the one in the previous match that didn't even get a game. He's come in this game, new tactics, new system, and he's just flown, especially after 60 minutes.
Yeah, and I think of all of the defensive mids, I mean, we've obviously had other shows and conversations around the defensive midfielders and, you know, the difference in them. And obviously we highlighted how Papi Mendy had been probably our best in terms of, you know, certainly retention of the ball. But I think Samari has he's probably the most well-rounded of them all. You know, he can do the defensive side, you know, the Ndidi can do maybe not quite as well, but certainly then when you add in the ball playing and the ability on the ball that Mendy seems to have, but he then has a bit more of that because he seems to want to be able to drive forward and pick a pass in the final third. He can do that, whereas I think Mendy's better doing that from deep. So yes, you're right. I think if you can keep him playing, like, he's only going to develop that the more he plays. I think the first couple of games in and off the bench, certainly when he first signed, there's obviously going to be nerves getting up to speed with the league, but I feel like certainly with Rodgers, he kind of saw that and went, no, he's not here yet, he's not ready. And rather than try and get him ready, he just sort of seemed to cast him away and say, no, it's not good enough. And I think that there he's come in, Dean Smith's obviously spoken to him and he's trusted him in this game. And he's repaid that trust with a good performance. Like, yes, he was nervy at the start. There were times where, you know, him and Tielemans still needed to work that partnership. I think there were times where, you know, if one of them tried to drive with the ball or move the ball forward and they lost it, then, you know, it looked desperate for us getting back. Obviously, when Tielemans received the ball for the goal that they scored, you know, Samar wasn't expecting to have to be as close to him. But there was also times where maybe Samar tried and dribble, got caught, and then there was gaps. So I think with that, there's still development into how you find the best around that midfield. Mm-hmm. But certainly when you're playing well and you're confident, and if you're dominating the game, he is a player that can really take you to that next level and link that up. Because certainly without Maddison there that normally does that link up, you needed somebody to be brave in that midfield to try and do that. And I think today, the more he played, the longer he played, the more confidence he got. And I think it was a good call from Dean Smith to keep him on because he was running the midfield certainly for a while. So there's no need to take him off, you know, keep him playing. Don't, you know, you can get fresh legs around him if that's what you need. But yeah, I think Dean Smith actually made some good choices with his substitutions. I was surprised he didn't take Daka off, but in the end, you know, at the same time, it would have been a bit harsh on Daka maybe because at the same, there was no wingers. We had no wingers. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting one, but no, leaving Samar on definitely was good, and hopefully then he can recover well enough for Tuesday night and we'll see a similar performance. Yeah,
I'm hoping so because again, I'm absolutely ecstatic, and players like them that have just come out of absolutely nowhere. I didn't even think he would start, to be perfectly honest with you. And Samori's done fantastic. Got Dan in. Dan, how are you feeling after that?
I mean, brilliant. I mean, 3 points is 3 points. We need it desperately. It could have been a lot uglier, and I still would have been happy. But the performance, except for about 20 minutes in the first half, was pretty decent overall.
Yeah, it was really good. And I think one player that, again, I want to touch on, Iverson. He's obviously started this game. He's been out in the cold again, as a lot of players will mention it. A lot of players were under Rodgers, or a few players were under Rodgers. He was one of them. Came in today, and even I want to highlight the 88th minute. The fact that I was thinking, oh, Neves on a corner, that's going to be on the corner of the box. Fast gave the ball away, and the fact that I was nervous, going, I can feel this might be 2-2, and that gut feeling. We've seen it so many times before. In this case, he saves it, and he didn't have a lot to do in the game, but when he was called upon, like 88th minute, he delivered, and that's kind of exemplary of the majority of the team as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think between him and a guy like Soyuncu, I don't know if you guys touched on him already at this point, but like guys that missed out a lot under Rodgers that are coming into the fold now under Smith looked really impressive, and I'm glad, you know, we're seeing what we missed out on all year. You know, I mean, not to be too harsh on Ward, but like Everson was really good today, and you miss a guy like that. He had a little bit of poor distribution, but like we haven't had a keeper with good distribution. I'd rather take a shot stopper.
Mm-hmm.
So
and he did that because he kept us in the game.
Yeah.
The fact is that otherwise, if Ward is that, I'm pretty convinced we go to 2-2, and then we're feeling different after the game. We're thinking, right, go on to Leeds and see if we get 3 points. And Jeff coming into the game as well, because again, I think as Gary was mentioning, the subs were pretty much spot on. And Vardy for KDH in the first half, then he made all 5 subs, and then he put then he came in for again Tillemans for Ndidi. Made sense a little bit. Pratt came on. He just constantly refreshed it and again made that midfield solid, because something we were complaining about half time where he made the substitutions and the midfield was being overran. The fact that he made those subs through, I think, was Dean Smith has been fantastic in this game in terms of subs.
Yeah. Certainly, you know, the fact that we're 1-1 at halftime, we need a little bit more creativity, and that's where you bring KDH for Vardy, and that's what kind of settled the midfield and, you know, have us a bit more concentrated and, you know, just creating more plays. You know, he had a chance. If you guys remember that play, I think he was on the left side. KDH takes a shot, goes far right, almost, you know, the goal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just from there, it's a different type of style when we play with KDH. You know, he's an important player. As much as he has been criticized, he has his abilities that definitely you know, put us at a great advantage. But yeah, like you said, we're making those constant subs every 10-15 minutes, and yeah, spot on, something that Rodgers would never do.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that he wouldn't use all the subs as well when he had a full bench of players, and he used the right subs at the right time. And Gary, I want to mention a couple of players. Well, one player in particular to you. Tete, it's the first time we've seen him really under Dean Smith. What did you make of him? Because I don't want to concentrate too much in a negative way, but I'm a bit mixed on his performance overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was going to be an interesting one. Like we said, we weren't sure. I think, you know, obviously we discussed it between ourselves when we saw the team sheet that we couldn't even work out what this formation was. Even now, I'm sort of struggling to work out whether it was still a 4-2-3-1, you know, with Iheanacho in the 10, or if it was a 4-4-2 at the start. You know, obviously there was the unbalance of it. I think maybe didn't help Tete. I actually thought he did quite well. I thought, you know, yesterday he didn't necessarily threaten the goal, and he didn't make too many crosses or anything. But I thought what he helped to do was retain the ball at times in tricky positions. So he became an available option. And sometimes if he just had to recycle it back, he kind of kept us hold of the ball, which, you know, I think gave us a bit more help on that side, certainly from the fullbacks perspective, which again, so I don't think he did anything too badly. I think, again, like, you know, it's that getting used to the players all over the pitch, getting used to the formation, maybe the different instructions and things that they've been given. I don't think he had too many opportunities to particularly take on his man too much. I thought Wolves defensively looked quite solid. We know they're quite tough to break down anyway. So, and then the other side of it is as well, when he does get the ball, I think where we saw him against Villa, it was best when he had players that he could play off with the 1-2s. And I think with the way that Wolves were playing, and also the sort of runs that like Vardy likes to make, or then when it was Iheanacho, maybe it didn't quite suit that. But, you know, because that wasn't on, he retained it well. And you know, I think in games like that, where you need to obviously be picking up points and wins, and you don't want to be doing anything stupid, I would take a simple game from him, you know, especially as that is after the Villa game. He maybe disappeared in a couple of games, and then after that we haven't really seen him for those last few sort of Rodgers games. So, you know, again, hopefully with confidence that Dean Smith seems to have breathed into the rest of them, hopefully we can start to see the quality that he showed in that Villa game and that first game for us.
Exactly, and hopefully so, because, and Sean puts in as well, I'd love things to have a field day against Liverpool, and I'm hoping so, because the opportunity is there. And part of that, Dan, as well, we're coming back into, this was a game without Maddison and a game without Harvey Barnes. I think them two by a country mile have been the top two in terms of attacking players for us. Hit them, that and Iheanacho. The fact that they're going to come back into the team against weaker opposition, again, never say never, but it's looking promising, I think.
Yeah, and Barnes loves a goal against Leeds, so I mean, I'm desperate to have him back for that game. I think you get that midfield sorted out with putting Maddison back into it, and then you have Tete on the right and Barnes on the left going to Leeds, and I think we're going to cause them a lot of problems because I mean, against Fulham today, they were poor open, but Fulham just didn't exploit them very often, and I'm hoping we bring our best team to the park that day, and we can make it look pretty easy. The question becomes who starts up top with those three guys would be an interesting one, because I mean, to be honest, Vardy puts away that first chance that he had inside of 5 minutes. If he takes that shot, puts that away, I think you got a brand new Jamie Vardy for the rest of the game. He's all of a sudden full of confidence, but that probably makes the decision for you. Other than that, it's probably an open question for me. I don't know how to answer it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Jeff? Again, coming into the Leeds game, again, I don't think we're going to have a preview just because of lack of time. But coming into that, the fact that you've got probably Barnes coming in, Maddison coming in, Tete, who do you play up top if it was you?
I just know that we need to play Kelechi Iheanacho. That was the big part in this match. He's the one that holds the ball. With Vardy and Daka playing together without Kelechi Iheanacho, you're not going to have someone who's going to hold the ball. That was a clear thing that we saw today. So obviously, if Barnes is fit, you play him on the left. Tete, I like the way he played. He was less selfish with the ball. Would cross the ball across the pitch. Would pass to find Daka. I don't think he would lose the ball as much today, but I'd say give him a chance. But definitely go with two up top with Kelechi Iheanacho. If we go just one striker, then it's just Kelechi Iheanacho, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, the thing is, if you play two up top and then two wingers, you're going to have to drop a midfielder somewhere. And I think that's the issue we've got at the moment. Just want to show you a couple of things as well, because I'm trying to get through so many great comments and so many good things that just come up. I mean, some of that come up, just something I've not seen like this. I've just not seen happy managers giving it their all. It's just nice to see, isn't it, Gary, that again, he's only been at the club a couple of weeks and he's already given it big, which for me is, I just love it. I just love the fact that it feels like, again, the crowd are on side, the players know what they're doing. We could have potentially put more away, but everything, as a fan base, we are healing and we're getting better.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I was only able to watch the game at home, but you could just bar that nervy spell that the players had, you could hear that the crowd, even though the crowd were a bit nervy, you could hear that they were still trying to go and they were still trying to, get, like you already said, they were still singing the players' names. And there was, even at times, I think there was one point, Dewsbury Hall tried to take a touch near the line and it just ran out, but it wasn't groans. It was, cheers of come on and, getting that. I think that was that was before the goal as well, I think. So there seemed to just be that lift of negativity, or at least the understanding that if we don't come together as a fan base and get behind the players, the club, the new manager, and I think with what Dean Smith's done is, he's got behind the players and said, and put the belief in them. And I think that everybody's kind of said, we're not going to get out of this unless that's the way we go about this issue, and we could have quite easily, maybe could have happened and probably would have happened at other times, maybe even under Rodgers. When that Wolves goal went in, we could have all consigned ourselves to, well, that's it, that's relegation now. The rest of the games don't matter. But maybe part of us went, well, actually, now we've nothing to lose. So let's go for it. And, the crowd sounded incredible. Towards the end of the game, I think they were singing for the last 15 minutes straight, just willing us over the line. And it was repaid again. And I think all of that has the ingredients to really put the belief behind us for these next few games. And like you said, I watched the Leeds game earlier as well, and they didn't look great. We've seen them obviously get dismantled a couple of times recently. Now, don't get me wrong, they'll be bang up for it, and Ellen Road will be bouncing. But, you know, if we can go there and quieten down that crowd and play with the belief and play the way we did today, then there's no reason why we can't be looking after this and be above them as well.
Yeah, and I'm really hoping. Yeah, I'm totally agreeing. I think potentially pushing them into relegation zone and us coming out of it, creating that gap, because them two games are vital to get points at. And as you were mentioning as well, I think somebody's Anil's put about the best atmosphere in the for 18 months. I totally agree. Going down to the ground, it was again Dean Smith blew by Warby constantly. Sometimes there's like a minute or two. It was basically constant throughout the game as well. And even characters like again James Maddison, who couldn't make it. I know you just tweeted this out, so I thought I'd going to share that as well, Gary. About James Maddison again. People mentioning character, ironically, after Brendan Rodgers leaves, but in general, again, it just shows you, Dan, that even players that aren't playing, James Maddison, we know he cares, and he actually disabled Twitter after the Bournemouth game. He's back, and again, he's tweeting about stuff, and it's nice to see that even the players that aren't playing are kind of buying into the ethos of this.
Yeah, there's there's been a lift around the club. I mean, and Gary's right. You can see it, like you can hear it and apparently feel it on the gantry because the commentators mentioned it, like it was bouncing in the stadiums. So there's a general lift around the club. There's a togetherness. Like we all have to get behind this thing. We're gonna do this. We're gonna get out of this jam. We're gonna stay up and we're gonna build for next year. And for Madison to shout out Samari's performance, to be just a fan like us in the stand. That's good stuff. You want that kind of energy in your club, and especially after a big performance where you desperately needed the points. Yeah,
exactly. We need the point, and we got them, and it wasn't easy. Jeff, we had 8 shots on target in total. We probably could have had more, and there was times where, again, as Gary's mentioned, KDH had some opportunities. Daka trying to have the opportunities, looked like he ran out of legs at some point. Kelechi and Acho were the same. And there was one point again where I can't remember what it was, about 60 odd minutes or so. Well, no, it was 56 minutes where Daka shoots, Sarr kind of spills it, and KDH should have put it away. And I was thinking, is that the moment? Is that the moment that's going to punish us? They kept going and they got the goal eventually. And what a goal it was. I mean, kind of out of nowhere from Christensen over to Castagna, which we've seen only a few times before we make that run. But I was speaking to, again, Tactico in the group chat, and he was mentioning that this was something that was probably worked on in training. The fact that he's coming on the inside, getting in those positions. But we needed somebody to step up and put the ball in the back of the net. And it was Castagna, of all people. But the intensity, the fact that we finally got the win from putting the ball away, I think was just, I'm just so happy that it happened.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of key moments that would have defined the game. When Wolves scored, they had a couple more chances after that. That could have been 2-0, and that definitely would have put away the game for us. But yeah, we're not necessarily a team that can come back like we did today, at least not all the time. But it takes a lot of courage and just trust from our fans, from us, to keep on roaring for our team, and that's what happened. As far as other things go, we're right now we're on a great route to safety, and we just have to stay focused, because just one mistake like that with Tielemans can definitely backtrack you in the match, and perhaps could stay like that for the rest of the game. So I'm going in with full on confidence, but we have to know that each match is different. So let's stay a little bit on the ground first, but yeah, definitely you feel that from Castagna. I don't think I've seen a reaction from him in a long time. Certainly, I think he's one of the players that didn't like Rodgers. So to score and then to make that difference, it definitely means a lot for the club and just a lot of positivity.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's just the positive. And I've been saying this for a while. We just needed somebody that would just get these guys together and go, "You are a good team. You can play good football." And it's only been a couple of weeks, and you look at the likes of Liverpool when Klopp took over and after Brendan, and there was a 3 or 4 months at a bare minimum of them just trying to get things going in the right direction, get a new style of football. And I think one thing as well, he's just come out and said it in the press conference on BBC Radio Leicester. The boys can enjoy today. I think they worked extremely hard for the result. They showed their quality when they needed to, and that's kind of it, Dan. I mean, coming into when we talk about the game, the fact that that's all we've needed, belief, and now this is going to do wonders for them, because Wolves were defensively, I think, pretty sound and are good at keeping teams out. The fact that we've gone there from behind 2-1, and then we're saying this, it's kind of like a spiral upwards of just positivity.
Yeah, I agree. And like the way they started off the game, you could tell that there's a general like intensity about the performance coming. Like, and out of all people, like it was Tielemans shocked me the most, because he was bringing some physicality right out of the gate for the first 7, 8, 10 minutes, whatever it was. And it's not something you usually see from him, but you can tell like he was up for it, and it was across the team. And then when they went behind, like you guys said, the heads didn't totally drop. I was probably more hurt by it at home than they were on the field. Like they stayed with it. They stayed together, and he's right. I mean, Dean Smith said it perfectly. They ground that out and worked very hard for that win. And for the goal to come from Castagna, like rare 4-way into the box like that, and I mean, put it away with class. Like it looked easy for him. Like, and Christensen coming down the wing, like more of that, please. Like I think he can be a real threat delivering balls from wide if he gets forward. So I liked everything about that. I like the performance. I like what Dean Smith had to say. He's got us trending the right way.
Yeah, I definitely agree as well. And again, even the reaction of Castagna when he got the goal, I know it's one thing. At the moment, it felt so much, Gary. It felt like a big. Again, the picture kind of sums it up. We've seen it a little bit before, but I think it was infectious with the crowd, the situation we're in, and the fact that there was a big build up to that point of how we missed our opportunity, and then he puts it away, and there was this huge release of just we've done it. It's just for me, it's so nice to talk positively about this team. It's so nice.
It's refreshing, isn't it? But yeah, I think, do you know what? Like that moment there, like you say in that photo, you can see that's not just him scoring a goal. It's a culmination of everything. I think even when Dean Smith was coming in, like obviously we know these guys are on Twitter and things like that, but like I think the fans were, we all got behind Dean Smith, but there was always that underlining thing of, if this goes wrong, it's not his fault, it's the board, and we've left it too late, and Rodgers has still caused too many problems with us. So there was always that feeling that, okay, we've got a manager in now, but it might be too late. And maybe the players might have felt that too, that, it's going to be tough because it's been so late. But, the second that goal goes in, and like Dan says, what a finish, so calm and composed, coming across his body like that to just side foot it perfectly into the corner. That moment there was just that overwhelming relief of we can do this. And that's from the manager, the players, the fans, those that were there, those at home, everything. It was just, we can do this. There's that belief now. There's the confidence. We are good enough, but we've got to want it. And I think it was, it was deserved. And it's probably quite fitting that we're sitting here saying that 2 players cast out by Brendan Rodgers were our best players on the day, and another player who hasn't been playing as well as maybe fallen out of Rodgers, but was also on bad form, was just gone and got us a winning goal. And it's all of those elements that maybe add up to sort of say, do you know what? The problems are over. It's all about this now, these 8-9 games. So, all of those things hopefully will play into it, and that can just spur us on to these last few games. And like say, the Leeds game on Tuesday is massive, and probably a good thing it's coming so quickly, because you can just ride into that next game. Like they're going to go, when they turn up at the training ground for, whatever training they might have or recovery sessions, like there's going to be a buzz in that place from that, because they've not had that feeling for a while, and it'll just be taking that positivity into the Leeds game. Leeds could be nervous. They've lost the last few games. They're getting sucked into it. They've seen that we've picked up points. They know that Everton and Forest could still do that. So they have to ride that in, and hopefully that moment there when Castagna puts the ball in the back of the net is the catalyst for the last end of this run in now to keep it where it needs to be going.
Exactly. And then even in terms of at the end of the season, normally I do like a review of the season, and I'm not going to lie, it's 2/3 of the way through the season, I was like, can we just scrap it off, because there's not really many contenders for quite a lot of it. But moments like that are what, again, just kind of define football. And I think people have mentioned as well that results again have gone in our favour a little bit as well. So as you were mentioning, Leeds lost recently, Dan. Also, you got the likes of Crystal Palace and Everton drawing, and Nottingham Forest losing last thing as well. So it means that we're in a better position, and it shows that again we are on the mend. And if other teams keep dropping points, we're going to be safe.
Yeah, I mean, and ultimately at this point, it's in our hands too. We don't even necessarily need other people to drop points. Like, we're out now. We just need to take care of our business. And looking at the matches we got coming up, I mean, Leeds and Everton, like, those are two relegation 6-pointers, to use the cliche. But then Liverpool, you kind of, you don't know what you're going to get from Liverpool.
Two past them at home.
Yeah, and then Newcastle and West Ham to finish out the year. And hopefully by the time we get to West Ham, it's all done and dusted and we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to have to play for it on the last day, because there's a decent shout that they might be also playing for it. But like I say, it's in our hands. We can take care of this thing. We can keep ourselves safe. We ideally get 6 points from the next two, and then then we're sitting on then what are we sitting on? 34 points. It's not enough probably, but it gives us good momentum heading into that Liverpool game, where we don't feel like we have to get something from a team like Liverpool. I think we can do this. I think we're on the right track. It's in our hands now. We just got to see it out.
And it's great to look forward to a game of football that actually, because again, there's for so many times this season, I'm like, all right, here we go again. Maybe we've got some positive, and it's just kind of all fallen down. But yeah, Jeff, final thoughts, because again, we've kind of exhausted it, but I'm just happy to talk about. There's all the problems this season. We're kind of doing the exact opposite, and I'm feeling the exact opposite as well. I'm just happy.
Yeah, definitely. And just, from what we've been knowing before the match, Harvey Barnes expected to come back for Leeds. Madison just sick this weekend, expect to come back for Leeds. It's all playing out well. It's definitely playing out well. And just after today's match, we know for sure the players that necessarily don't start all the time need to start against Leeds, which is Siyunchu, Castagna, and Kelechi Iheanacho, in my opinion.
Yeah. Exactly. I think what's it called? Gary, you were mentioning. I'll get it up on screen, but I'll put the thing in as well. I'll put it up on screen. What was that you just shared?
It's just we're talking about showing that the moments and that it means something. And obviously, our friend Glenn there's just put up. You can see like players on the bench there at the end. Tielemans, Vardy. The fact that they're on their feet, ready. You can even see Ricardo in the background there. They're sitting there on the edge of their seats, ready. And willing us over the line. And it just shows that, do you know what? That togetherness and that feeling, the fight's there. So, Dan's mentioned it's in our hands now. 6 points from the next 2 games does you brilliantly. Not only does it obviously pull you out, but it means you would have just won 3 on the bounce going into the last 4 games, potentially trickier games, but you'll be on a good run and a good confidence. And, Fulham without Mitrovic still, Newcastle and Liverpool may or may not know whether there any chance of getting into their prospective European competitions by then. But hopefully by the West Ham game, they've nothing to play for, we've nothing to play for, and we go from there.
Be the loveliest 0-0 I've ever experienced, and just nothing happens, and I'm like, I'll take that all the way. Jeff, again, thanks for that. Again, any other final thoughts? Go tell people where they can find you as well.
As far as we just take game by game, hopefully other results still fall in our favor, and we go to safety much more quicker than not wait till the last match. But yeah, you find me on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Fox Report, as well as Facebook.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think I'll leave the link to below. Gary, yourself, again, thanks for jumping on, mate. I really appreciate it. Tell people where they can find you as well.
Mostly on Twitter at the minute, but also Twitch as well. But at C92, as it says, note that side, just down there, nice and simply. But normally talking rubbish about Leicester on Twitter, so that's the usual place to find me.
Fantastic. Yeah, and Dan, great to have you on again. It's been a while, but I'm really glad you joined. Tell people where they can find you and any final thoughts as well.
Well, first off, I'm hoping that Castagna against. Oh Christ, I'm having a brain fart today. Who even beat Castagna against Wolves is like King of 2015 against West Ham. I want the same momentum to kick off. I got the same vibe when I was thinking about it. But yeah, you can find me here on Twitter. That's pretty much it. Look forward to the rest of the year now. Things are trending up. Let's go, Foxes.
Yeah, let's go. Let's see if we can actually, again, Great Escape Part 2 is on. And also, as you mentioned, Castagna's goal, there was the dead fish at the end, which I loved as well in terms of celebration. I don't know if anybody else saw that, which is fantastic. Yeah. Again, make sure you like, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll leave everybody's links in the description. Make sure you go follow them, and we'll see you all in the next video. So goodbye.